Friday night finals here on 104.5 The Zone. Not only can you listen to us on 104.5 The Zone, you can listen to us on the app. Make sure that you download that because tomorrow night you're going to need that for Nashville SC with pregame for that beginning at 7 p.m. You're also going to be able to watch us right now on Zone TV, no matter where you are, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all those places. You have the ability to watch Zone TV, comment with updates from the high school games that you are at or that you just left. Some of the games that we've been paying attention to tonight, obviously the Alcoa Ravenwood game was one that we've been talking about a great deal, but the other game, the biggest one probably in the state because of who was involved, Lipscomb Academy hosting IMG Academy from Florida, takes an L tonight, 35-10. That game is now a final. Some other games happening around Middle Tennessee, a big one between Pearl-Cohn and MBA, as that game just wrapped up a little while ago as well. Pearl-Cohn getting the victory 21-14. In fact, Pearl-Cohn was actually up 21-7. MBA blocks a punt and then scores a touchdown to make it 21-14 to get that game a little bit closer towards the very end. Earlier tonight, we also talked to you about some games that were involving Middle Tennessee teams, even though they were out of the region. Ensworth traveled to Union City near Memphis and got the win 40-6. As that is now a final as well. But earlier during halftime, we were joined by our man CJ Ecke as he is in the borough tonight, talking a little bit of high school football. He was over there for the Smyrna game as well. And CJ, as you hop in, man, at the half when we talked to you about this game, Smyrna was not really having a great night. And did it get any better for them?
It did not. The running clock by the second half, and not much going on after that. The final score, 36-0, Riverdale winning over Smyrna. If you want, I can go through a quick recap of the scoring. It started with a couple 3-and-outs in the first quarter, and then Riverdale struck first with a Braden Graham touchdown pass to Montgomery from 15 yards out. They went for two and converted it to make it 8-0 Riverdale. Later in the quarter, a 41-yard screen pass to the Smyrna 6, followed by a fumble recovered by Smyrna's Aiden Dickens, and Riverdale led 8-0 at the end of one. Second quarter, an interception by Riverdale's Jalen Thompson led to a touchdown by the same player. A touchdown catch to make it 15-0 Riverdale. Later in the second quarter, Braylon Vanderbilt with a touchdown catch from 1 yard out, caught a quick slant, and dives into the end zone. The extra point made it 22-0 Riverdale. And then we had a big man interception, defensive lineman Anthony Gunn with an interception off of a tip ball that led to a Keyshawn Williams 32-yard touchdown catch to make the score 29-0 Riverdale at the half. In the third quarter, a Riverdale touchdown catch and run from Keyshawn Williams, 32 yards, makes one guy miss and cuts across the field and outruns everybody to the corner of the end zone. That made the score 36-0 Riverdale, and by that point, the running clock is going, and final score, 36-0 Riverdale, winning on a very emotional night for the Riverdale and the Murfreesboro community as they honor a longtime defensive coach and head coach in Murfreesboro, Bobby Wells, who lost his battle with cancer a few months ago.
CJ, we appreciate it, bro. I know that meant a lot to you because you played for him, right?
I did play for Bobby Wells at Blackman High School for 4 months, but 4 months was enough to create a lasting relationship. The last time I saw him was maybe about 4 months before he passed. He looked just like I always remembered Coach Wells, albeit obviously a little slimmer. But every time I would see him, we always talked about my goals in broadcasting, and I would always tell him that I was going to get there, and he always believed that I would. So this game had a lot of special significance for the people of Murfreesboro, the people of Rutherford County and the mid-state area, and to me personally because of my relationship with Coach Wells. And it was a great way to honor his memory with two schools that he spent the most time at. And both teams represented very well, although it was a tough night for Smyrna. Good vibes all around if you are a fan of Riverdale High School and you're a supporter and fan of Riverdale High School athletics. Good night.
CJ, we appreciate it, bud. And matter of fact, while we are focusing on the borough right now, let's go about a mile and a half, maybe 2 miles northeast, and this is going to just sound totally weird for me to say. Jonathan Schaefer of 103.3 and the Big D and Bubba show. Yeah, that sounded weird, bro. I'm just going to be straight up with you. I was trying to be professional. That sounded really strange for me to say.
That's fine. Good evening, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I am told that you were at Oakland and Independence tonight.
Independence at Oakland, of course, 3-time defending state champions in 6A in Oakland. They've won 4 of the last 5 state championships and 44-1 during that 3-title reign here in the past 3 seasons. So Oakland coming in, though they had to replace 80% of their starting offense from last year, including their top 6 rushers, but the final score, Oakland 34, Independence 14. And actually for Oakland, they came out of the gate really quickly here tonight at home. Dwayne Morris, who is actually a transfer from Red Bank Chattanooga, was able to score on the 3rd play of the game, 62-yard touchdown run. Then Oakland forced a 3-and-out, and then Morris scored again a 67-yard touchdown run as they were up by 2 scores just halfway through the first quarter. They added another touchdown to the next drive. It was a pass from the quarterback's son, Kyler Creasy, getting his first start, the junior quarterback, able to get it out to Kalijah King, 65 yards for a touchdown. They were up 19-0 before the end of the first quarter. Added another touchdown from Ashton Jones, who scored from 4 yards out, who is a transfer from DCA and was a Division II Mr. Football finalist last year. He scored, and Oakland looked like they were completely in control, in cruise control, and in fact were getting the ball back late in the second quarter, but they muffed a punt that Independence was able to recover. Clay Davis was able to score from 7 yards out to make it 26-7. And then things got a little interesting. Oakland did not score in the third quarter. Independence scored with the first play of the fourth quarter. Their starting quarterback able to rush it in for the touchdown in Luke McNeely. So the game at that point was 26-14, but then Oakland took the ensuing possession, marched it down the field. Ashton Jones again scored for Oakland. 2-point conversion was good. Final score 34-14. So the 2 transfers that came in for Oakland, Dwayne Morris out of Chattanooga and Ashton Jones from DCA down to Oakland. Morris, 144 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, including the 62 and 67-yard touchdown carries. Ashton Jones, 18 carries, 143 yards, the 2 scores, plus the 2-point conversion. Oakland tonight, 369 yards on the ground, had 469 yards of offense. So despite having to replace the vast majority of their offense, their defense looked outstanding, was all over Independence throughout the evening tonight, and a very good start to defending 3 straight 6A championships. And this class has already said, this group said, we don't want to be the group that doesn't win the next one. We don't want to be the group that lets Oakland down, and they're well on their way with their performance tonight.
Well, and I was curious about, because you just mentioned it, we had Alcoa on us for us tonight, and you're talking about 8 straight state championships. You're talking about Oakland with their multiple state championships in a row. Like, what is Coach thinking at this point when you're having back-to-back-to-back state championships about keeping that level of intensity and continuing with the success?
Well, that's the thing, is that they had quite a few uncharacteristic mistakes tonight. They had 2 muff punts. They did not do well on special teams, left 5 points out on the field with 2 missed extra points and a missed field goal attempt. Plus, what got Independence back in the game, the turnover that led to the touchdown at the end of the first half, and then that second touchdown drive for Independence. they were able to benefit off of 30 penalty yards, a face mask, and also a personal foul penalty that allowed Independence to drive the ball, go in, and punch it in. And all of a sudden, a game that Oakland was owning, especially in yardage, 4-1 in terms of yardage, they were only up by a score of 26-14 at that point. And then they went down and showed why they are state champions. They were just able to drive the ball at will. And again, those two players who transferred in their first game ever as Oakland Patriots, they were able to play Kevin Creasy football, which is run the football, be physical, run a lot of inside traps, and then come outside with Morris. And Oakland was able to just dominate on that last drive to seal the game away. But it's one of those situations, Joe, as you know, even though they won by 20, they'll have plenty of fuel and plenty of film and things to work on this next week. And in some cases, that's not a bad thing for a head coach, especially one that's trying to win a fourth straight state championship.
No, and that's the reason why I asked, because you're talking about going for number 4, but also after that first game, there's so much that you can work on. And when you said that just then, my first thought is, oh, this was perfect. Like almost with a head coach, especially with Creasy, is, look, we did not have an amazing first game. So now all the hype's over, all the championship celebration stuff's over. Now I have stuff that I can talk to you about when we go to watch film tomorrow or on Sunday.
Yeah, there's no question about that. The special teams performance was poor, as I mentioned. Also, 9 penalties on Oakland tonight. That was very costly for them at times, and we had a chance to talk to Ashton Jones after the game today, and he mentioned that offensively they were doing well, and they did. They had very good rhythm. They were able to impose their will, but there'd be a play here, or there'd be a mistake here, or there'd be a penalty over here that would short-circuit drives. So they had the potential for an even more dominant performance than what they had, but they didn't execute well enough, or at least not to the level that they are used to in terms of that 44-1 record that they had in the previous 3 years, with that loss coming against CPA last year. They haven't lost a region game in several years, so to show you how dominant they've been down here in Rutherford County.
Shafe, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you so much for hopping on, giving us that update from Oakland and Independence, and just letting you know, since you did this in week 1, I'm now kind of expecting that for the next 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 weeks.
At Nolensville. At Antioch will be the game that I will be at next week, so we will be sure to give you a call and help you out.
Well, just letting you know that just a few moments ago, I got the notification that Nolensville actually just came back for a win just a few moments ago to win 21-20.
Yeah, that's a good Nolensville squad. I had a chance to see last year when they played Page. I was able to call that game with Lucas Panzica on the zone. So that'll be an interesting game. It'll be my first time ever in my almost 20 years in Nashville. I've never been to Antioch High School for a game. So a little Metro action coming up next week.
Boom. Thanks for it, bro. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Have a good one, man, bro.
Have a good evening. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Yeah, just mentioned that as that just came across our Twitter feed at 104.5 The Zone. Nolensville, who was down early in that football game to Rockville, ended up coming back and getting the win 21-20, as that is a final from there. Again, any updates that you have, any updates in high school games, important facts like the one that we just got tweeted to us about Watertown defeating Forest 17-0. Trey Pack just broke the Watertown record for the longest field goal in school history. 51-yard field goal in this game to set the new mark for Watertown. Some other scores that we're looking at as we continue to go throughout the evening here on 104.5 The Zone. In fact, let's go ahead and just focus on one particular region, and that region being Region 7 is one of the ones that we're talking about as you're talking about your Fort Campbell's, that's part of the North Tennessee communities. They took out Clarksville 20-17. Beach just a little while ago, a team that we featured on 104.5 The Zone last season, won 21-0 as well. Innsworth, they went all the way over to Memphis tonight and won 40-6. Also, Portland and White House, the final of that one, Portland losing that one or I should say winning that one 7-6 as White House welcomed in a new head coach waiting to get that first win. Around Region 6, one that we'll talk to Tate Matthews about here in just a little bit, Centennial beat Franklin 34-14. That game just going final a little while ago. And the game that we had here locally was Ravenwood losing to Alcoa 35-14. But let's go back to our phone lines right now as our very own Sammy Kincaid just wrapped up the My 30 game of the week. As we were sitting here in the studio and we were doing Friday night finals, we saw her hand over the championship and the rivalry trophy. Sammy, can you explain to people that may not know the importance of that, what that was about?
Yes, Coach Finch really wanted his manager to be the one that got the trophy for tonight. He said, he's just been doing a really great job for us, and I really want to have him have this special moment here tonight receiving the trophy, and it was very special indeed.
And Sammy, the other thing about this game, as we were watching this, this game was on My 30. You were on the sidelines for this one, but what was something that you saw here in week one for this game that we were paying attention to tonight as the game was being broadcast throughout Middle Tennessee?
I mean, in week one, I think Brentwood really played like a veteran team. And if you were watching the broadcast, you heard Coach Finch say it. He said, I think they did play like the veteran team tonight. And that was the one thing he was really looking for headed into this game. He said, my guys have played in big games like this before. They should not be shocked whenever they're on this stage. And they did exactly what he expected them to do. And I think that with Coach Kreisky, I mean, he has a very talented team, but he was missing his two big players tonight, with Donovan Holloway being out with a torn ACL and MCL and Campbell Lee being out with a hamstring injury. That really hurt Kreisky's team tonight. And I think they're going to be fine once they're able to get their playmakers back into the game. But it definitely showed that they were having to rely on some younger guys tonight.
Well, no, and that with the relying on the younger guys, you're still talking about a 38-14 ball game that Brentwood was eventually able to win. And those younger guys, who performed well in this game for these younger players that really didn't expect to get that much playing time early on in the season?
Right, and you said the final 38-14. It was really Brentwood had control of this game the entire time. Those 14 points came in the very I would say the second half of the fourth quarter with the running clock. They were able to get the running clock to stop, but those younger players, they were able to see some minutes against some players that were really good players on that Blackman team. But Trey, the running back, I mean, he's not a younger player, but, 17 carries for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns. He just had an incredible game tonight, and that's why he was the player of the game for Brentwood. He just had an incredible performance.
Yeah, you were on the game tonight for Brentwood and Blackman, but you also had a game last night. Where were you at last night?
Yes, we were at Mount Juliet for Cane Ridge at Mount Juliet, and talk about a nail-biter. That one, Cane Ridge was able to come back very last second. It was in the first half, in the last minute and a half, they were able to really make a statement. They were able to capitalize off of Mount Juliet having a just really bad penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct on the defensive side, and that's when you really saw the momentum shift whenever they had that penalty. And Cane Ridge came back and made it a game. Ended up being 31-28. Mount Juliet pulled it off, but, man, whenever we got done with that one and I was about to interview Coach Perry, he said, I think I just aged 100 years in that game. It really came down to the wire, and he said, we can't ever make it easy. But they still came away with the win, which he was very happy about it. It may not have been the most clean game, but he at least got the W at the end of the day.
Well, and the cool part about this is you were at that game last night. You were at Blackman tonight for the My TV 30 game, and then you also have another game tomorrow. And where are you going to be at tomorrow?
Yes, so tomorrow night at Brentwood Academy, and that will be a massive game on Stadium TV. So very excited for that one. It has been been a very busy weekend, calling 3 games in 3 days. But I mean, what a way to kick off the football season! And it's the FNR kickoff weekend, and it's the inaugural one. They're not doing this anywhere in the country, and there's a reason they're doing it here in Nashville, and it's because Nashville has such incredible talent, and that's going to be on full display tomorrow night with CPA at Brentwood Academy. I mean, with George McIntyre, you got one of the best quarterbacks in the state, if not in the country. And so it is going to be, I think, that will probably be the closest best game we see this weekend.
Well, and I was curious about it because, look, you just mentioned one player for CPA, but this roster for CPA is just stacked with with a ton of talent that could be arguably some of the best in the state.
Yeah, well, George McIntyre is on the Brentwood Academy side, but on CPA, whenever I was talking to Coach Engel, he was saying, he kept downplaying his team and saying, we graduated a lot, we got some new faces that are be playing. Coach, you still got a really great team. You're going to be one of the most stacked teams in the mid-state. And it was just that really old-school coaching mentality. And I think that even though it is new faces, these are guys that have their big bodies that are coming up. And that was one thing that he said, that at least with the new faces, it's guys that are going to be big up front. They're going to have some size to them and not having to play some of the freshmen or sophomores that haven't developed in size yet.
Well, Sammy, before we let you go again, we're talking about the games that you're going to be at. And you mentioned you're going to be at CPA. That game is going to be broadcast. Where can people watch that tomorrow?
Yeah, so tomorrow is actually our national TV game. It will be on Stadium TV. But if you go to Fox 17 or MyTV30, you can find the links to be able to watch the game. And on Channel 30, if you have cable, you can watch it there as well. But Stadium TV is where the primary broadcast will be.
Well, have a safe trip home on this. We appreciate it, and we look forward to watching some CPA in Brentwood Academy tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Hunk.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. That is Sammy Kincaid, and I will say of 104.5 The Zone, as well as My TV 30 and Stadium and 600 other things that she does because she has like 42 jobs. But we appreciate her hopping on with us tonight here on Friday Night Finals. But now coming up here in just a few seconds, one of the wins tonight, DCA got a humongous win tonight, and head coach Paul Wade is going to be joining us when we return on Friday Night Finals on 104.5 The Zone. Friday night finals on 104.5 The Zone. You can get in with those scores, 615-737-1045. Also, Zone TV is going right now as we're about to be joined here in just a few minutes by the head coach of DCA, Paul Wade, as he's going to talk to us about his huge win over Inzel here in just a little bit. Now, we've gotten some questions on the Zone chat with some score updates. So let's get to some of those right now. And first off, Mike lets us know Pearl Cone defeated NBA 21-14. Got a request off of our Twitch feed that about Knox Webb having a 30-0 victory over BGA. Knox Webb, he is saying, has a solid running back and great defense. And then we had a request for some updates on some scores. Now, the first one we had was a question about Columbia Central and their score. They lost tonight, as a matter of fact, 16-0 to Marshall County. The other request for an update on a score involves James Lawson, who just lost to Cheatham County. Well, actually, correction, they beat Cheatham County 18-15. And the final game that we've gotten asked about, if we have a final two, is about Maplewood, who just lost 20-0 to Hunters Lane. But let's go back to the phone lines right now as the head coach for DCA is joining us right now as DCA defeated Ezell Harding 42-7. And Coach Wade is joining us right now on the 104.5 The Zone phone lines. And Coach, I appreciate you hopping on. And from what I'm seeing across all the videos that I've been seeing on social media, you had a running back that had a pretty good night tonight, Coach.
We did. Wesley did a great job. Our offensive line, I think, did an outstanding job helping him find some holes and move some people around. But really, I think what got it going was the last few scrimmages that we were involved in here the preseason. We did a really good job of throwing the ball. So I think they were covering up our receivers a pretty good job, and that allowed Wesley to sneak through there and have some really big runs.
Well, and I hear that you're really hands-on when it comes to your offensive line, which obviously with all of us being Tennessee Titans fans, we all focus on the offensive line all year long. So with your offensive line and what you've been seeing from those guys, how was it able to open up the holes for your running back as well as get you a little bit of pass protection?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. That's the position I coach, so I think they're the most important. And, we only have really one guy back. Carson Sneed should be playing tight end, but because of the situation that we've incurred with some numbers and depth issues, we actually moved three fullbacks this summer to the offensive line. So we're playing with probably the lightest group I've ever coached in 32 years, but they're catching on to what we're doing. They're really quick, they're athletic, and they were able to open up some holes. We're just doing some basic inside-outside zone blocking, nothing big. But for them guys to do that tonight against a very large Ezell front group, we felt really good about it during the game. When you go back and watch the film, the old cliche, it's never as good as never as good as you think, never as bad as you think. So I hope it does look good the way it felt tonight.
Well, the head coach for DCA, Paul Wade, joining us right now on 104.5 The Zone and Friday night finals. When you moved those fullbacks to the offensive line, did you give them a sandwich when you did so? I know you said they're the lightest, but, they need to put a little bit of weight on before they put their hand in the dirt, right?
Well, yeah. Well, that's what we hope we accomplish this summer. I'm not sure. I know they got stronger. I'm not sure about the weight. And then, obviously, then you got to make sure Mama's okay with it. With their babies up there in the front line. But these guys have done a great job. Stephen Altum, Wyatt Gray, and Tanner Hedgepath of stepping in a necessity. I've never been in a situation like this in my entire career. And so for it to fall together at one time, especially after the success we've had the last couple of years and the linemen that we've graduated, these guys have done a great job in their first outing.
Well, and I'm curious because you're talking about how in your 32 years, this is one of the lightest offensive lines that you have coached. What's it like now? You've went through one game like this, but when you have an offensive line that's going up to the line of scrimmage and you're much lighter than a lot of the defensive lines that you may go up against throughout the regular season, what are you telling your players going into that about blocking and the way that they need to go approach the game?
Well, it's all about technique, and I'm a technique guy. I'm a step guy. And you know, we're trying to take some pressure off of them by throwing the ball around a little more than we normally do. I'm a pro eye, run the ball, play action, heavy, and being in shotgun every snap. We were under center only twice tonight, so that's an oddity for me. I remember back to the first scrimmage, 3 weeks ago, and we threw it 40 times and ran it 7. And I got in the bus and I texted my 2 boys who played for me in the offensive line, and I told them that I was literally sick at my stomach at what just occurred because it was the first time that I'd ever gone into a situation. We started one kid over 200 pounds tonight in the offensive line.
Wait, you only had one kid that's over 200 pounds on the offensive line tonight?
That's what we started tonight, yes, sir.
Wow. So, and he was talking about it. So when you told your sons about this and you said it made you sick, what was their reply to you?
A bunch of laughing emojis.
Oh, that is so great. That is so awesome. So, all right, you get your first win, and I know, again, you said it's not going to be – the tape isn't going to be as bad as what you think it's going to be when you sit down and watch it. But right now, without watching the tape, what is something that you do need to work on going into week 2?
Well, it's funny you say that because we told them before the game that we were better than them in the kicking game. And the kicking game kind of got us behind the 8 ball multiple times tonight. So we've got to work on that. Here's the problem with that, guys, is that when you're carrying only 27 players, one of them is a kicker, 2 of them have never played football before in their life, and 8 of them are freshmen, you're not playing with a whole lot of depth. So to get the look in practice that you want to get is almost impossible. So a lot of our special teams that have taken place have been mock special teams. And so to do it live for the first time tonight, we kind of got pinned against the wall a little bit, even though I thought on film, based off the scrimmage tape, I thought we were a little bit better, but we weren't. The thing that I was most impressed with our defense, Coach Brian Bobian heads that up. Our guys just fought hard, and the thing that we were probably a little worried about, getting beat deep, did not happen tonight. Those guys did a great job of pinning them down and staying with the game plan, and we're excited to see how we go from here. Again, hoping that it looks as good on film as it felt tonight.
All right, Coach, I know your home opener is next week, next Friday night against Friendship Christian. They've got a week to get ready for this, but what are you expecting from that Friendship Christian team?
Well, they're the Finish State champions, so we knew what that felt like last year when we started the season, so they're going to be itching ready to go. It's a big rivalry game for us, even though we're not in the same region anymore, just because we're close enough that our kids know a lot of each other. And of course, John McNeil, he and I go back a long time. And I'll call him a friend, but I'm not sure I will this week. But it's a great game. And, it means nothing for as our region standings go, but as far as little bragging rights for a year. And he got us twice last year, and the year before that, we got him twice. So here we go back to 0, and we'll see how it pans out this week.
Well, Coach, we absolutely appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us after that big victory. Good luck against Friendship Christian, and just going to put it into the universe. If you came on with us this week after winning, if you win again next week, we may have to make this a tradition, just letting you know.
Sounds great.
All right. Coach Wade, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. As the head coach of DCA, Paul Wade, here on 104.5 The Zone and Friday Night Finals. You can get in. Zone TV is open. The chat is going. If you have a question, a game that you have not seen a final score for, you can always shoot us a comment there in the Zone TV chat, and we can answer that about some games that are happening and just wrapping up throughout the state of Tennessee. Not just in Middle Tennessee, but you also have games that are all just now starting to go final over in West Tennessee as well. So any scores that you guys do have questions about, we can get those for you here on 104.5 The Zone and Friday Night Finals. But Coming up tomorrow morning, he's going to be on the air talking some high school football tonight. He was over at Centennial for Centennial and Franklin. Tate Matthews joins us now on Friday Night Finals. And Tate, a great ball game. We had it going on here in the studio tonight. What'd you think about that Centennial-Franklin matchup?
Man, it was great. It was a great crowd, and they got there early. Both student sections were packed. Franklin came out first in the warm-ups, and they're stormtroopers, the real stormtroopers, right? It's not a stormtrooper if you don't have the white helmet. They had their brand-new white helmets. I don't ever remember them wearing white helmets. Probably goes back to the 70s, and with white jerseys and white pants. Centennial came out. Coach Jamal Stewart's first game as the head coach there. They warmed up in navy pants or compression shirts and helmets, no shoulder pads, nothing. And then they went in for the pregame right before they came back out. They're in black jerseys and black pants. Crowd was excited. It was just a great environment, and the game was kind of the same way. It was very exciting, a lot of ups and downs. Centennial got the ball first. Dominic Reed, they give him a halfback pass on a go. They had the wide receiver going a go route. Dominic sells the run. It's wide open, a little bit underthrown, dropped pass. But they were able to come back and have a big game. Dominic Reed was a real star. I guess you can still call it the Wildcat. They put him at running back or at quarterback, direct snapped it to him. Had at least 2 touchdowns. He might have got another one after I left. Tanner Lee had a big game. DJ Curl had a nice touchdown pass. So those that saw Coach Stewart at East Nashville and as wide open as they were, as fast as they played, he likes to put his athletes in space. He did the same thing at Centennial. But Franklin's got a lot of nice things too. Jack Flynn had 2 touchdown receptions from Brewer Wilson, junior quarterback Brewer Wilson, and he's got a couple other nice targets, and Lucas Young and Will Jackson. So Franklin's going to put up some points this year too. But it was definitely a Centennial night off Mallory Lane.
Well, no, and you mentioned Coach Stewart and this being his first game as Centennial High School's head coach. How did it feel for him to finally get that first win out of the way so that he can go on with the rest of the season and be able to focus without focusing on getting that first up?
He's a fiery guy if you ever seen him. So he was pretty intense during the night. But you know, he the last 3 years he's not used to losing much. But he's it was football once it got there, right? The crowd was bigger. The pregame was bigger, but once I think he would tell you once the whistle blew, it was just football. So, he's 1-0 as the head coach at Centennial. A lot to work on, but man, a lot to be excited about too.
Well, and Tate, I know that you have the show coming up tomorrow morning, but at the same time, tomorrow night you also are going to be at Brentwood Academy and CPA. Look, that's got so much talent on both sides of the football for both teams on that. Can you preview that for us just a little bit? We were just talking to Sammy Kincaid, who's going to be doing that game as well, and she's going to be on the sidelines for it. But from your X's and O's standpoint, what are you looking for?
You're right. They're 2 really good teams. I think the Tennessean have them predicted number 2 and number 3 in their preseason polls, and that's probably fair. Brentwood Academy 2, CPA 3, but you're going to see, if not the best quarterback in the state, you're going to see one of the 2 best quarterbacks in the state tomorrow night in George McIntyre, a.k.a. G-Mac. You saw him last year. He's impressive. I hadn't seen anybody like him in the mid-state in a long time. He's accurate. He doesn't make mistakes. He can move around, extend the pocket. He's got 3 big-time targets, and Neo Clifton, Shavar Young that can stretch the field, and then you got T.T. Hill, the Oakland transfer, who's had a huge year last year for Oakland. He's a guy you'll see at running back and also slot. But then, talked about it in the pregame. I think CPA's probably got one of the best secondaries out there with Andre Evans and the Matthews youngster, Riley Gregory, Gannon Kale. You'll see Josh Jennings in there too. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it comes down to, can CPA run the ball and can Brentwood Academy keep that defense with Cruz Law and Trey Harris, Steel Chance creating a lot of pressure. I think, can they keep that CPA line defense off of George McIntyre? But they've also going to have 2 of the best linemen in the whole state with Brentwood Academy's Hank Weber, He's a dude on both sides of the ball, and then John Wayne Oliver at left tackle for CPA. So there's a lot of great players. Coach Martin, he's been there, 12, 13 years now at CPA. Everybody knows him. And then I'm excited to see what a Jacob Gill Brentwood Academy coach team will look like. I think they're going to be pretty wide open.
Well, and before we let you go, you have your show in the morning. I know you're going to talk a lot about high school football, but what all do you have going on tomorrow morning here on 104.5 The Zone?
We'll have the news where we'll get a lot of stats and highlights from tonight, top performers for most of the games, and then we'll get into our guest. I know a big win tonight. If you're a Hendersonville or a Gallatin person, Henderson and Gallatin, it gets no bigger than that. A big win tonight, 47-33 for Coach James Beasley's Commandos. After the news, he'll start us off. Paul Derrick from Nolensville will be joining us, and then we'll have our weekly wrap-up with Tom Krager of the Tennessean. Krager. Don't call him Krager, Joe. It's Krager.
Krager. And you mentioned Nolensville. Big comeback for them. They were down for a good portion of that game tonight, and then they had that big comeback win to win 21-20. So big win for them. The Hendersonville, in fact, I'm glad you answered that because we actually just got a comment on our Zone TV asking for that Hendersonville and Gallatin score. So you just nailed that down for us, man. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a big win. That's a big rivalry. I love it. If you ever get a chance, go to that game. That's a fun one. So.
Well,
and hey, I think this is pretty cool, Joe. We got another few seconds.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I've got till 11 o'clock, so I mean, we can hit on whatever you want to, man. I mean, hey.
I'm sure I missed some. You mentioned Jamal Stewart got his first win as the head coach of Centennial. Obviously, not as a head coach, but his first win as the head coach of Centennial. Brian Lilly, who is the first head coach at James Lawson. This is his first head coaching job. He gets a win, 18-15 over Cheatham County. James Lawson, which was, I guess, kind of Hillwood, right? But it's a brand new school. He gets a win in his first head coaching game, also the first win in the history of the school. I saw Kirkwood got a win tonight. So Coach Chad Watson, that's their first game as a school. And then Ben Kuhn got his first win as a head coach at Wilson Central. So and Damian Harris at East Nashville. So pretty cool, man. A lot of first wins, either at new schools or at the very least new head coaching jobs.
Well, no, and the first thing that I thought of as we're sitting here talking about all of these games that are going on is you've also got a lot of football players that are going to be waking up in the morning and they're going to get out of the bed and it's going to feel like they were in a car accident. And some of them may need to go to Performance Therapy Institute. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, man, that's where I take my own kids. Josh Colbert and his team, they're unbelievable. And, they just have a heart for serving high school athletes because they love high school athletics. So you can find them at performancetherapy.com. They have office hours tomorrow. So unfortunately, this was the first week of high school football games, and injuries are a part of the game, right? So I know we had a few of them. You can go ahead and reach out to them so you can start that process tomorrow if you can get in their clinic hours. They've got 4 locations in Franklin, Nolensville, Brentwood, and Nashville. Why wait till Monday if you can get in there and get it addressed now? If it's something they can help you with, they'll do it. If not, they have partnerships with all the top doctors in the mid-state, and they can go ahead and get you headed in the right direction. Again, the number one thing I can tell you is that's where I take my own kids. So performancetherapy.com.
Well, Tate, we appreciate it, man. We'll be listening in the morning to hear your recap of everything that happened overnight. And we all are also going to be paying attention to Brentwood Academy and CPA tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So we appreciate it, sir. You have a good night, and we will hear from you in the morning.
Okay, brother. Appreciate you. You have a great weekend and doing a great job. Also, I heard you mention Sammy, her third game tomorrow night. She does I thought she did a great job the first 2 nights. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, and thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. And look, I mean, she is killing it. I mean, she does tons of stuff for us during the week. She's had 3 games that she's going to be on her third game tomorrow night for CPA and Brentwood Academy. So we appreciate everything that everybody is doing here around 104.5 The Zone. 2 people that are not getting enough love tonight for everything is Reed and Jackson, who are behind the scenes tonight, taking your phone calls whenever we say if you have a score for us, give us a call at 615-737-1045. Those are the two guys that you're going to be talking about. They're controlling Zone TV as well as getting these updates for these scores. Now, when you get into the Zone TV chat, you can throw out a high school that we can find you some scores on, because we do have some people that are commenting and wanting to find some answers for some finals tonight. When we come back and we wrap up the first Friday night finals here on 104.5 The Zone in 2023, we will get you the updates for some of the games that have been tweeted to us as well as been asked on Zone TV. And if you do have an update for a final, 615-737-1045. This is Friday Night Finals on 104.5 The Zone. Final segment of Friday Night Finals here on 104.5 The Zone, as well as Zone TV. We have told you throughout the night. If you have any questions about any games that are happening here in Middle Tennessee, you can always shoot us a tweet or shoot us a comment in the Zone TV chat, and we will get you updates for that. Now, let's start with this because we just had a phone call a minute ago asking about the Sunbright score. And Sunbright and Red Bowling Springs play tonight in East Tennessee. Sunbright 0, Red Bowling Springs 61. We were told just a few seconds ago that was actually the record for most points or the most lopsided win in school history. Now, some other scores that we were getting asked about in our Zone TV chat, as we've got about 7 more minutes remaining here on Friday Night Finals. Stratford and Glencliff. This is the only game throughout the state of Tennessee that we do not have a score for. We have checked all of the websites. We have went on Twitter. We have looked everywhere. If you have the Glencliff Stratford score, Reed and Jackson behind the window right now, give us a call on that one, because that is the only game that we have had people ask us about that we do not have a final on. 615-737-1045 if you do have that final. Steven shoots us a message in the Zone TV chat, says that Powell beat Anderson County in East Tennessee tonight 35-21. Both of them obviously won state titles the last 2 seasons. And in fact, as we were going on the air earlier tonight, right after Alcoa and Ravenwood wrapped up, we had a comment in the Zone TV chat that says Alcoa might as well just go ahead and pencil them in for a 9th straight state championship. So the other question that we just got on the YouTube chat has to do with White House. So just a little while ago, we actually got told that the score that we were given earlier is not correct. And so Portland and White House was actually one of the first games to wrap up tonight up in North Middle Tennessee. And that is a final score of Portland 7, White House 6. We actually had that score backwards on all of the information that we were being given throughout various websites here in the state of Tennessee. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our final true scoreboard update of the evening here on Friday Night Finals, because one of the biggest games obviously was the IMG Academy and Lipscomb Academy game that took place. Obviously, national attention being paid to that one, and unfortunately, locally, didn't go real well for Lipscomb Academy. 35-10 was the final score, with IMG Academy getting the win in that one. We just talked to Tate Matthews a little while ago. Centennial won 34-14 over Franklin in the Battle of Franklin. Father Ryan, 50-3 win tonight over John Overton as well. Now, we had a question just a few minutes ago about that Hendersonville score, because that was a big matchup as well. And Hendersonville with a big win tonight in that game, as Hendersonville defeated Gallatin 47-33. Other games going on around Middle Tennessee tonight, as Lebanon defeated Antioch 39-28. There were 3 games in the Murfreesboro area. Oakland defeated Independence 34-14. Riverdale beat Smyrna 36-0. You had Brentwood beating Blackman 38-14. If you missed that, that was the one that our own Sammy Kincaid was at for My TV 30. Also happening tonight, Summit defeated Spring Hill 40-0. We just had that question pop up in our Zone TV chat. Franklin Road Academy defeated Kenwood 49-7. Davidson Academy with a big 27-20 win over Nashville Christian. Nashville Christian having the 4-star quarterback Jared Curtis underneath center tonight. Hillsboro got a 40-7 win just a little while ago. James Lawson, that was a game that we got asked about just a few moments ago on Twitter. James Lawson won 18-15 over Cheatham County. It was Pearl-Cohn over MBA. Metro School, private school, 21-14. Middle Tennessee Christian defeated Columbia Academy 33-31. Marshall County defeated Columbia Central 16-0. A little bit further down, 65. Cornersville defeated Webb County 43-17. And the last update that we got from Giles County and Page, it actually said that this game was in overtime, 34-20, or I should say 34-27. Before we wrap up here tonight, tweet just coming in at 104.5 The Zone from Bobby said, Rockville, 0, referees 1. Big win for the referees tonight. We appreciate them, and a good way to start the season, starting 1-0. But coming up on 104.5 The Zone over the course of the next 24 hours, you have a lot of football because Titans Radio, Titans and Vikings tomorrow night, 7 p.m. kick. You'll be able to hear it from here on 104.5 The Zone. You're also going to be able to hear pregame at 6, countdown to kickoff at 4. That's going to be getting you ready for that game between the Titans and the Vikings. But don't forget, download the 104.5 The Zone app. You can listen to it no matter where you are. We had some people in Missouri hopping in on Friday Night Finals tonight to listen in to about some local high school football. That is where you're going to be able to get Nashville SC. That game, the match starts at 8 o'clock. Pregame is going to start at 7 o'clock. You're going to get a special 1-hour pregame. Will Bowling, Lucas Panzica going to be on that. Will Bowling going to be on the call. You also going to be on WTN at kickoff as well. So if you're driving around Middle Tennessee and you just want to listen on the radio, go over to our sister station, WTN. They're going to have that broadcast tomorrow night. And then the great thing is now we have Friday Night Finals tonight. Next Friday night, no Friday Night Finals because Titans Patriots from Nissan Stadium is going to be the final preseason game before we get ready for the regular season matchup between the Titans and the Saints coming up in about 3 weeks from right now. So that's the schedule for what is going to be going on here on 104.5 The Zone over the course of the next 24 hours as well as the next 7 days or so. So we appreciate everybody that was hopping on. We also appreciate everybody from Alcoa as well as Ravenwood that listened tonight for that Alcoa win as they traveled over from East Tennessee to get that 35-14 victory over the Raptors tonight. Random fact, don't know why I decided to research this. Don't know why there's actually a name to it. But a pack of Raptors is actually called a kettle. No idea. Had no idea about that until just a little while ago. Decided, you know what? If a pack of Raptors get together, because obviously we know that's going to happen in 2023, just know it's called a kettle of Raptors. Just letting you know. We appreciate everybody that hopped on tonight, all the coaches. Coach Wade, we appreciate Tate Matthews, obviously Will Bowling and Lucas Panzica for doing the broadcast tonight for Alcoa and Ravenwood. Sammy Kincaid, which again, don't forget, she'll be on My TV 30 tomorrow night. You can watch that there. She'll be on the stadium broadcast for the Brentwood Academy and CPA matchup at 7 o'clock. You do not want to miss that. And of course, I've got to say a major thank you to our men Reed as well as Jackson behind the scenes as they have been killing it, getting you highlights, taking your phone calls whenever you were calling into the radio station, as well as doing everything else behind the scenes to make sure everything ran smoothly tonight, guys. Deeply appreciate that. We will be back with you in 2 weeks for Friday Night Finals here on 104.5 The Zone. Don't forget Tate Matthews, Coach Matthews tomorrow morning as well. We will talk to you in 2 weeks on Friday Night Finals here on 104.5 The Zone.